So the introduction to Karbanis, to bringing a carbon to coming close to the Eibishter. So it says Vayikra Moshe. And this Maimer focuses primarily on that, on the intro and the introduction to the Karbanis. So Vayikra Moshe. So the first, the Alter Rebbe has several diukim in the pasuk. First is the Aleph, which is pointed out by many. The Aleph of Vayikra is a what? Is a Ze'ira, is a small Aleph. B'divrei Hayamim ksiv, and in Divrei Hayamim it says Adam. Divrei Hayamim is the last sefer in Tanakh, and there it captures all the chronological, everything that happened from beginning, from Adam Rishon, and there it says Adam b'Aleph Rabasi. It's a big Aleph. We need to understand why the Aleph in Vayikra is a small Aleph, and the Aleph in Divrei Hayamim, the Aleph of Adam, is a big Aleph. What's the difference between a big Aleph and a small Aleph? We know that there are three different types of Oisias. There's Oisias Ravrivin, which are big Oisias. The Oisias Zehirin, small Oisias. Then there's Oisias Beinanim, which is in the middle. The regular Oisias is Oisias Beinanim. So V'hinei Yomer Azal B'Medrash. So Chazal say Vayikra Moshe. So the Medrash points out this idea that about who called Moshe Rabbeinu. It says V'loi ka'Avram. Vayikra Moshe, not like by Avram. By Avram, ksiv Vayikra Malach Hashem al Avram. That by Avram, the Malach called Avram. HaMalach Keira, V'adibur Medaber. So that means that the Malach called Avram, and then the Eibusha spoke to Avram. But B'ram Hocha Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Anihu HaKeira, V'anihu HaMedaber. Over here, the Eibusha is the one that's calling Moshe, and the Eibusha is the one that speaks. So why is it? What's the difference when we say that the Malach is the Keira and the Eibush is the Medaber, or the Eibush is the Keira and the Eibush is the Medaber? Parshas Balak, and also the diuk in Parshas Balak and Zohar. So it says Vayikra Moshe. So call it the Malka v'lo ya'idei shlicha achra. So the Zohar is also medayik as well. That Vayikra Moshe, that who was the one that called, the Eibishter called, and not through a Malach. V'tzarech lahavin lefi zeh. So once we've established that that the Eibishter is the one that called Moshe Rabbeinu, so lama lo nemer Vayikra Vayel Moshe. Why does it remain ambiguous? Why doesn't it say who was the one that called? It should have said that the Eibusha was the one that called Moshe. In other words, if every time it says in the Torah that he called is referring to the Eibusha, so then there would be no reason to say, it would be obvious that it's the Eibusha. But being that sometimes it's a Malach, so why isn't it specified and say, Vayikra the Eibah Hashem al Moshe? So that's the second question. Gam tzarech lavin. The third question. The Zohar Parshas Vayikrah kasu Vayikra Moshe v'loi kamer man have. The Zohar says there's another Zohar, and the Zohar says Vayikra Moshe v'loi kamer man have. It doesn't say who it was. Ela b'chol hani. By all of these, malacha de bris have. It's the malacha of bris, of the covenant, is the one that calls. The kula b'kutshabrichu itmar, And all of them, the Eibishter is the one who's talking. So from here it seems to be a stira, to be a contradiction to what we're saying. Before we said from the Zohar that it was the Eibishter who called. And over here it seems from the Zohar that it was the Malach of the Bris Have. Okay, so these are the questions. So number one, the first diuk is why in the Vayikra it says with a small aleph Zeira. The second question, as opposed to Adam in Divrei Hayamim, was a big aleph. The second question is why it says that Vayikra, it doesn't say who called. It should say Vayikra Hashem al Moshe. It doesn't say that. It just says Vayikra al Moshe. And the third question is a stira in the Zohar, contradiction. From one place it seems that the one who was speaking, who was calling, was the Eibishter. From one place it seems it's Malach at the Bris. So to understand to answer these questions, so the Alter Rebbe first will explain why Bechlal Moshe Rabbeinu had to be called. We're talking about Moshe Rabbeinu, who this is after Matan Torah, right? He had plenty, the whole Shmeis from when the Eibishter revealed himself to Moshe Rabbeinu. He had many interactions between the Eibishter and Moshe Rabbeinu. All of a sudden, it's like we start Sefer Vayikra. It's a whole new, like they're getting to know each other again. He has to call Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was on the mountain, received the Torah. He was Arba'im Yom Arba'im Laila. He was 3 times. The three sets of 40. Mitamol Vayikra Moshe. What? There's something. In other words, there's something unique happening in Sefer Vayikra, Parshas Vayikrah, that we didn't have even by Matan Torah. And in order for that to happen, in order to allow that, so we have to have the introduction of Vayikra Moshe. Without Vayikra Moshe, that can't happen. So what is that? And whatever we're going to explain, it has to be something that even you didn't have by Matan Torah. So something so unique, so special. And that's what the Alter Rebbe is going to begin to explain. That this Gilui that you have by the Mishkan, that's something that was even is far superior than the Gilui that even happened by Matan Torah. And in order for Moshe Rabbeinu to be able to have to be able to be brought in to that Gilui that you have by the Mishkan, the only way that can happen, he needed a special Mesinas Koyach. He needed a special invitation. He had to be ushered in, and that's what the pasuk is describing with Vayikra el Moshe. Vayikra el Moshe is that invitation. Let's see inside. So the Inyan, why you need Vayikra el Moshe? So the Alter Rebbe connects. What we ended off Sefer Shmeis with, and then begin Sefer Vayikra. So this Vayikra el Moshe is coming as a continuation of what we read at the end of Parshas Pikudei. What does it say at the end of Parshas Pikudei? It says, "V'layachol Moshe lo v'le'elmed." Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't able to come into the Elmed. Why? Ki shachan olav anan. Because on the Elmed resided a cloud. Ukved Hashem moles hamishkan. And the kavod of the Eibishter, the kavod Hashem, filled the Mishkan. What is this kavod Hashem that we're referring to? And what is this anan that is preventing Moshe from coming in? Why is the anan? We know that we find also a similar description of anan by Matan Torah. This is a different type of anan. This is an anan that doesn't allow Moshe Rabbeinu to go inside. That's what we ended off Parshas Vayikrah. So the Alter Rebbe explains that pasuk. In other words, that phenomenon that we find in Parshas Vayikrah, Perish. Shachan olav ha'anan. What is Shachan olav ha'anan? Hu hamshachas v'hashras erin seif baruch hu mimakim elyin v'neira me'ed. So the anan, what is the anan? The anan is a dargan elikus. The anan is describing a level of elikus that resides in the Mishkan. In the words of the Alter Rebbe, Erein Tzayv Baruch Hu Mimakim Elyin V'Neira Miyed. Shenemar Bey, that regarding that darga of elikus, it says in the pasuk. That's what David HaMelech says in Tehillim. Yoshes Choshech Sisrei. That level of elikus that is referred to as anan is David HaMelech calls Yoshes Choshech. What's Yoshes Choshech? Yoshes Choshech means that it's darkness. That's where the Eibishter resides. It's called darkness. So you would think, it seems counterintuitive, that where the Eibishter is we would associate it with light, not darkness. But over here, the light and darkness refers to Gilui and Helen. Light refers to something which is revealed. Something revealed means something that you can comprehend, something you can understand, something that you can relate to, something that you can internalize. That is referred to as Gilui, something which is dark. So dark is the pshat, that it's something that you can't, it's beyond your understanding. Now, within this itself, you have different levels. Meaning to say, for example, if you have a Rav and a Talmud, a teacher and a student, so the first interaction that the teacher has with the student, meaning to say, he gives over an idea, teaching to the student, so that's something that the student comprehends. It's something that he understands. So for the student, that's Gilui. Then you have a level of where the Rav himself, so the way the idea is by the Rav, so that's higher, beyond, deeper than what the student can grasp right now and comprehend. But nevertheless, the student, by learning the class, he's able to feel that epislikta, there's something here more than what I'm just being taught. Even though I don't know exactly what it is, but it's something that he feels is something that is beyond his comprehension, and he can sense it. So even that, you can't really say choshech, because that's also, it's also a type of gilui. It's not the same gilui as what he's comprehending, but it's being that he feels that something is there. So because he senses it, it's a type of gilui. When we say choshech, we're talking about that he doesn't even realize that it's there. Sometimes you can read a Gemara, a Mishnah, a Pasuk Chumash, a Rashi, and you're totally unaware of everything that's there that lies within the holy words. You're just completely oblivious to it. I'm using that as a mashal al derech dugma. That's when we say choshech, it's dark. Meaning to say it's not even in the realm of gilui. It's completely beyond the understanding. When we say here anan, shachan olav anan, is referring that in the Mishkan resided a level which is considered choshech. How do you describe that choshech resides? How do you describe that such a level which is beyond Gilui, that it's residing in the Mishkan? We describe that by saying that shachan olav anan, the anan resides there. Obviously, if it still remains hidden, then it's not residing there. The anan is there to describe what level is residing, a level which is hidden. If we want to label it more, so you could say there's Soiviv Kalaman and Malik Kalaman. Soiviv Kalaman is that level which transcends, which is higher than the world, which is completely beyond grasp. So what is residing in the Mishkan? What's residing in the Mishkan is a level of Soiviv Kalaman.
Anan here is like Ananei HaKavod.
So we're making a distinction between the Anani HaKavod, or even the Anan that we had by the Matan Torah, to this Anan. Anan in general refers to a level of a likuz which is concealed, which is hidden. But over here we're talking about a level of Anan, a level of a likuz which resided in the Mishkan, which was higher even than Matan Torah, because we need to come to a point. What we're aiming at is to understand why it was required here that Moshe Rabbeinu should be called. If it was the same level as a Matan Torah, so we don't find that Moshe Rabbeinu there would have to be a Vayikra. Okay, let's see again. Let's start to that.
1 second, was it Rod La that was in there?
That's he doesn't say. It's he says it's Keser. So he says, "Shu b'chinas erin tzei parachu haseviv kolamin shelo shayich b'shum gili asaga ki les machshava tfisa beklal." So les machshava tfisa beklal. So that's why it's choshech, right? Les machshava tfisa beklal. It's not begeder gili. Va'an chakim v'lei b'chachmi yediyah. The Alter Rebbe has three expressions here, which refer to the Eibishter as the Eibishter is higher than comprehension, higher than understanding. Being that it's higher than one can comprehend, meaning to say that it transcends Gilui. You can't say on it Gilui, and that's why we describe it with the word Anan. ולכן על זה נאמר ישס חושך סיסרי. חושך הוא דבר שאין נראה בשום תפיסה והשגה כלל. So to bring out this idea of what level we're talking about, so the Alter Rebbe is going to talk about two levels. The level of, we say in Shemon Esrei, Ata Kadosh, v'Shimcha Kadosh. So in general, the level which is beyond a grasp and understanding, we call Kaddish. Kaddish means it's holy, meaning it's moved, it's higher, transcendent. But there's a level of Kaddish which is associated with Shimcha, and there's a level of Kaddish which is associated with Ata. The level of Kaddish which is associated with Shimcha, so that still doesn't define Choshech. The level of Choshech is the level of Kaddish which is associated with Ata. That's what the Alter Rebbe is going to say. Ata Kaddish v'Shimcha Kaddish. Pirush. What's Ata Kaddish v'Shimcha Kaddish? Pirush shegam b'china shmei hu niskav levadei. So even Shmoi is niskav. Even Shmoi is lifted above, and Levade is the Eibush, only the Eibush himself, meaning to say it's beyond our grasp. She'ein arich laha'olamis im Shmoi yisbarach klal. There's no b'chlal comparison to the shame of the Eibush, to the level of Olam. Ad shehu yisbarach kadosh shemuvdu me'olamis. The Eibishter himself, the Eibishter is transcends Olam. Rak We're talking not the Eibishter himself. We're talking about the Shem. Rak hoide v'zive shel shmei nimshach al eretz hashamayim. Only a ray of the Shem of the Eibishter is nimshach to eretz hashamayim. So usually you would say that what is the whole idea of a Shem? The whole idea of a Shem is that you can be known to someone else. So b'chlal, in order to have a system of olamis, you have to have a Shem. A Shem means that there can be b'chlal a metzias that can exist, so to speak, outside of the realm of the Eibishter. It should feel separate, an am, like a melech and an am. So, but it's not. If it would just be the Shem, then it wouldn't be able to have the metzias of an am. The only way you can have an am is if it's ha'ara of the Shem. In other words, the Shem itself is still too revealing that the am wouldn't be able to exist. It's only a ha'ara of the Shem. So that's why Shimcha Kaddish. The Shimcha itself still remains Kaddish. And that doesn't allow for an am. Okay, so that's Shimcha Kaddish. Ach Pirish Ata Kaddish. Dahainu HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'chvoide v'atzmei. Shelamayla b'bechina shmei. The Ata Kaddish, the Ata is the Eibishter himself. Hainu shafilu b'bechina ziv v'hoid lo yahayu elam yisichen mekav menu klal. So Ata Kaddish is the Shimcha Kaddish is to bring out the Ata Kaddish. If it was just say Ata Kaddish, so then we would say that they could receive from the Shem of the Eibishter. So we say V'shimcha Ata Kaddish, V'shimcha Kaddish, and for sure Ata Kaddish. V'al derech ze yuvan pirish yashas cheshach sisrei. What does it mean yashas cheshach sisrei? Dahainu. That's the beer Indian. That's what we wanted to explain. What is yashas cheshach? Dahainu ki van shafilu ziv arim and yisbarach. Ein olam yisichen lekabel klal lekach nikra etzlam Hashem cheshach. And that's why, being that even from the and ziv, they're not able to receive. So that's why the Ata Kaddish is cheshach. Lekach etzlam Hashem cheshach va'aziv shichayim lekabel, and that which they are is Shimcha Kaddish. V'nikra ziv hashchina. That which they are able to receive, that's the Shimcha from the name ha'ara of that. V'nikra ziv hashchina. Uberaya mehemne Parshas Pinchas so the Raya mehemne says, what is the Yashas Cheshech? Who Keser Elyin? That's Keser. In other words, what is the darga that we're talking about here? We're talking about the level of Keser. And regarding that level, regarding the darga of Keser, that's what it says by the Mishkan that we started. That's what it says in Parshas Likutei, that Moshe couldn't come in there, Kishachan alav anan. The Ininu Kved Hashem Moles HaMishkan, that the Kavod Hashem filled the Mishkan. So what does it mean that Kavod Hashem filled the Mishkan? If you want to just say that the Mishkan was filled with the level of Keser, with the level of Anan, so it should say not Male, it should say Milah. It filled. Male seems to indicate that it itself became full. This level became full. Whatever, the Anan became full. And then, being that it was full, B'derech Mamela, the Mishkan was full. Not it filled the Mishkan. That's the diuk the Alter Rebbe says. This is the diuk from the Zohar. Upirish Bereshis B'Zohar Parshas Neach, V'reish Parshas Vayikrah, Mai Malei V'loi Mila, Malei V'loi Mila, Ela Malei Vadai Di Smal Yemi Koila. It's a level which was filled from everything, and B'derech Mamela the Mishkan was full. And Alter Rebbe explains. The Alter Rebbe explains here the diuk of the Zohar. The Zohar, he says, so the Zohar makes the diuk why it says male and not mila. What's the difference between male and mila? So Alter Rebbe explains the Zohar. Alter Rebbe is teaching us a shtickle Zohar. If you understand the pasuk simply, that it means that the Kavod Hashem filled the Mishkan, so then it should say, Im Kain Mila Mi Bayale. It filled up. The Anan filled up the Mishkan. And then we would understand what is the explanation, what is the meaning of the pasuk. The Hoya Pirush Nirak Shebechinas HaKavod Milas HaMishkan. Oh, but the diuk is because it doesn't say Mila, it says Male. Mashma Oidzes Shebechinas Kvod Hashem, that the Kavod of Hashem Nishlama v'nismala. It itself was filled. It itself was completed. And then v'achar kach, that Hashem, that Kavod Hashem, which was filled, which was completed, Nishlama v'nismala, that was nimshach v'nisgala Kvod Hashem shebechinas b'mishkan. Then it was revealed in the Mishkan. For Indian, the Indian is as follows. What is Kvod Hashem, which was Nismala? So you have two steps here. The simple, if you learn Pshat, that the Anan filled the Mishkan, so you have one. The Hesis, you have an Anan, and the Anan filled the Mishkan. The being that it says Kvod Hashem Mole means you have a level of Kvod Hashem. That level of Kavod Hashem was Mole, that became full. And then the third thing is that it descended into the Mishkan. So the meaning is as follows: V'hainu, what is Kvod Hashem? Kvod Hashem is b'chinas Memalik Laman. That's the Memalik Laman. Kvod Hainu Ziv Yikore. That's a Ziv Yikore. That's when it says the pasuk Male Kol Kvode. So that means that the what is Kvode is a ray of the Eibishter. What is Kavod? Pashtus. Simply speaking, what is Kavod? Kavod is the external aspect of the person, that there's a respectability about him, right? It's an external aspect of him. It doesn't describe who he is. It's an outer aspect. This is the Eibishter. So Kavod here is Memalik Kalam. It's not the Eibishter himself. It's the way the Eibishter Kaviyachol is associated, interacts with the Olam, with the world. So that's Ziv Yikare. Shehi b'chinas midas malchusi yisbarach. That's the malchus of the Eibishter, the kingship of the Eibishter. Shenikris gam kin chachmatata, which is also referred to. Malchus is sometimes referred to as the lower level of Chachma, which is also, it's brought down that in Malchus we know is Dibur. Malchus Peh, that's what we read in Pasach Leo. That in Dibur itself, so you have the Chachma the way it is in the Moyach, meaning to say the Chachma in your understanding of the idea. And then you have the Chachma the way it is in how to articulate the idea. That's a lower level of Chachma, but also it's a Chachma. So this is called Chachma Tata. You have Chachma Ilah, Chachma Tata. Shehi Mukar de Biyah, which Chachma Tata is the source of Bria Yitzira Asiyah. That's Chachma of, that's Malchus of Atzilus, is Chachma Tata, which now is the Makar of Biyah. Shorsho Mikaira. Where it's the shirish of the Chachma Tata is from the Mechinas Chachma Ilah. Shehi Anikris Kavod Ilah. That's what it's referred to. Chachma, that's called Kavod Ilah. So you have the lower Kavod and the higher Kavod, the lower Chachma and the higher Chachma. Uba, and in the Chachma Tata, that's where you have the Ashra Sarein Seif Baruch Hu Mamish. Shalzeh Nemar Hareini Nos Kvedecha. When Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Eibishter, "Show me Kvedecha, your Kavod," what is Moshe Rabbeinu referring to? Kvedecha refers to Chachma Ilah, and And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu was requesting. So the idea here is that what does it mean that there was the kavod Hashem Molei as Hamishkan means the kavod the Memale Kalamin was connected with the Soviv Kalamin, and that was the phenomenon that you had in the Mishkan, that you have Memale and Soviv coming together, and that was something that was even beyond Moshe Rabbeinu. And in order for Moshe Rabbeinu to be able to have that Gilui, it required a Vayikra.
You had that for what?
It required a Vayikra.
Cheers.